And I want to welcome you to another episode of Beyond the Surface Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Wanda J. Evans-Brewer. And this afternoon, I have the blessing of a special guest, artist, masseuse, dancer. What else do you do, Valroy?
Well, I love to work with children, too.
Okay, so he has a heart for children. His name is Valroy Dawkins.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of meeting him when I went over to Columbus Park to basically experience West Indian folk dance.
Right.
And I asked him to sit down for an interview. And we're just going to discuss Valroy's journey. I do believe that spirits meet on the road, and it's not by accident. So I met Valroy, and upon learning just how extensive his, basically your creativity, your heart, your energy was, I was very drawn to you, and you were drawn to me, so I felt that we needed to sit down and talk. Say hello, Valroy.
Hello, what? Heaven's over there. You know, if you don't want me to say hello, I can say heaven's over.
Okay. Well, where do you want to start? I know you have a great group. You're part of a really interesting group. I love when I went to the website and I looked at that name, particularly the motto. One family, many children. And the group is called Funkadesi, yes?
Funkadesi, yeah.
Funkadesi.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Could you just tell us something about Funkadesi?
Well, Funkadesi. Well, the music, like you said, the combination of the people in it from India. I was born in Jamaica, and I, came here, and, have people Puerto Rican descent, natural African Americans, just a combination of different culture coming together and being able to stay together for 17 years.
So Funkadesi has been together 17 years?
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. Especially when you consider that in general, lots of groups don't make it past 2, 3, 5 years anymore. What was the heart behind developing Funkadesi? Like when you all first came up with a vision for it, why Funkadesi?
Well, the leader of the band, actually his name is Rahul Sharma, but he had the concept in his mind of funk and merging other musical style. Well, it happened a long time ago. Maybe it was 1997 or something like that, where he came to this club called Exodus, and I was there with a band called 911.
Okay.
And the leader of that band, his name was Mishuk Silas, and he plays the drum. So see this Indian man, we was on break, and this Indian man, young Indian man, just transiting out of college, and he came. I saw him, and I was just standing there. Everybody else was ignoring or whatever. Maybe they was getting a drink or something. And he coming there looking like Columbo or something.
Okay.
And then he asked me, and he said, "Oh, what do you think about merging reggae music with Indian music?" Oh, I said, "Cool, that would be nice." So I had a card.
Okay.
And I gave him a card. Yeah, because I used to work with this band called X Dub Factor. So
Okay.
I gave him that card. And then years later, when I think he had finished college or whatever, and then going on to grad school, he was doing a program with my friend, of which I did the dancing.
Okay.
Because I used to dance more back then. And I saw him like, wow. And he'd take the card out and show me. But then, the way I became a part of the band, he asked the drummer to assist him. And then the drummer knew we had worked together. His name is me. He said, "Oh man, I got a singer for you."
Okay.
And well, it was me. So when he came, he met with one of the men called Bayard. He plays wind instrument. So I usually have a book like this that I write down, stuff that little lines I come up with.
Okay, so you actually write a little bit of music too, or a lot of bit of music.
Well, basically I write words, and it's like they like the words that I have. So he played music, so Indians, the Indian version, and he said, "Okay, just sing something." Oh, he told me to look in my book, and I looked in there, and there was something that fit one of the songs that he was doing, and he started. So after that, he started rehearsal. And then he tell me, oh, this lady, this Indian singer that sings well. And I go there, and she never show up.
Okay.
She always calls us, oh, I'm on my way. Oh, well, I can't make it anymore. So they booked a show at the Heartland Cafe.
Is this how you end up becoming a singer for the group?
Well, first of all, when we first met, he liked how I sang, because, I just come up with stuff, lyrics.
Can you do some now?
What?
Just give us an idea of what you sing, just off the top, just impromptu.
Well, I was driving down 219. I was going too fast. Well,
this feels more like philosophical, jazzy kind of.
More me. The Jamaican style is like a DJ style.
Okay.
And so I can DJ, but I'm not really like a DJ, like the real DJ,
right.
Like the rappers who rap fast, real fast. But I'm more like on the sing side.
That's why I said it feels very jazzy, very cool, very mellow.
I'm loud.
Are you loud?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what is Funkadesi or Funkadesi? What does that mean for your spirit? What has that meant to your life? Because you said you all have been together for 17 years. It's a coming together of various artists from various cultural backgrounds, which by itself, just hearing that sounds challenging. It seems like you all would be at each other's throats. What has this meant for Valroy's life?
Oh, for me, well, it had a lot to do with history and different things, because first, when he first gave me the idea, I just thought nothing of it. But then when we met up again on the show at Washington Cultural Center, they was doing some kind of Black History program. I was one of the dancers, African dance, but I also dance modern folk, Caribbean, like modern folk, a combination of modern and folk mixed together. And so, knowing the Indians' presence in Jamaica, before the independence, the East Indians' presence was much more stronger until we have got independence.
Okay.
In 1962, and then more research was done from the roots of Africa and how the people was they was captive from Africa to the different part of the.
So Jamaica has always had a East Indian presence. That's part of. That's a group that once lived there or migrated there.
Well, yeah, they was part of the
indentured
indentures that came to Jamaica maybe 100 years before the independence of Jamaica.
Okay, you said indentured. When I think of indentured, I think of a slave.
Well, they say it's a servant, but they have to pay off that sentence.
Okay.
So that culture, is very, but they had their roots were more intact than the African, So there's a lot to it.
Okay.
Maybe I'm not sure if we'll be able to get to, but the Indians present because of the spices, the connection with Columbus and all the things that we learn about American history. It's all connected.
Okay.
In a lot of ways. So when he said that to me, I said, yeah, because, we have, a lot of the people get along, it's a lot of different culture come, it's a tourist island.
Yeah, but you haven't told me what it meant for you. What does it mean for you personally, for your life, for your journey? Yes, to be 17 years.
University.
It's like a university?
Yeah, because, I know about it, and then I've heard about it, maybe read about it, but I don't know about it. I don't know about the language, and I don't know that much about the culture. So it's like a whole new insight for me to be amongst the people, experiencing the people who from here. Some of them are the next generation who have migrated here, perhaps for different economical.
So instead of looking at it in a magazine and seeing an East Indian or seeing someone from Puerto Rico or seeing someone, you actually had the opportunity and blessing to actually experience them, and then
learn. Not just looking and assuming like, oh, that person.
But you could ask those questions.
Yeah, well, you could, this the amount of similarities, or even the spices that we use in Jamaica and India. A lot of the things are similar. Basically, it's like that with a lot of culture, but we end up fighting about things that's insignificant.
Yeah, we do.
But if we look and say, oh, they do that too? Wow. And you see the comparison and how they admire the African Americans, but a lot of people really they don't know about the African Americans like they should, because a lot of times African Americans get bad rap. Because for what the African Americans do for the Americans throughout the Americas and not on the south of America, which is still the America, which is a part of the big picture.
Okay.
They have negative imagination about the African American.
Well, I mean, and we know that some of that's by design. I mean, you have to imagine that you have this group that you enslaved for 400 years, and at some point there's a push to there's no use for them in terms of slaveocracy. It had to go away at some point, but they're still left, as you see it, as whoever's in power sees it, as this lumping group. What are you going to do with this group? So some of it's by design, well, they're not that great anyway. We can't use them for our purpose, not necessarily. And, I just believe that's part of what always feeds the negativity, which separates the African, meaning that you are directly from Africa, from the African American, who is, a direct ancestor of slaveocracy, Jim Crow, plantations, and the like. That has a lot to do with the two different visions, because, you just don't understand that how pain as well as beauty, pain, joy, it all sometimes runs in the line. That you do get a group that is, I guess to a certain degree, lost, that still is scrambling to find itself.
So a lot of the stories that I heard from the band leaders is similar to us, but the African Americans have.
That's Valroy's phone, by the way, listeners, not mine. It's okay.
The African American. African American story.
And he's struggling to work his phone too, by the way. The African American story, what?
The African American story, when Rahul told me about his story about education, his grandfather, it's like, I wonder if I figure like, oh, this must be bigger than it is.
Okay.
And a lot of times it's not really an effort. When we come together to like make music, it's not like as much effort. Because everybody come there with something.
But isn't music a universal language that transcends all of that? Culture, community, land, that in fact, that is the one language that we all can understand, even when we don't quite understand it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you hear good rhythm, if a voice appeals to the ear, even, it doesn't matter.
You can hear it in the music.
You can hear it in the music. You can absolutely hear it in the music.
Everybody just come and do what they do, and it fits. They play the version of the music that they was brought up with, that they talk about the rags and the different style of music from the north of India and the southern part. And of course, the African American music of the music that we had, the roots of Africa, traditional.
And so that's that funk piece.
The funk is that what we
right.
grew up with, so that funk with the funky bass line.
Right.
African American music is very influential.
Oh, listen, I'm a big funk lover. I love funk.
So you can hear that, the gospel, the blues, and everything is embedded in the music, and so it's combined. And so the presence of African American Africans in the music is strong, and then you can just see the roots of the music. So we stress the first album, it's called Uncut Roots, so everyone in the group, stay connected to their origins.
Mm-hmm.
And so
that's beautiful, that you don't have to give up anything to be a part of the group.
Right. So,
Mm-hmm.
it is like a educational institution, and even, it's like, it's not even the tip of the iceberg what we learn from one another, and everyone is so skilled in different areas that it takes.
It sounds like a group grounded in respect and culture sharing.
Oh, yes, it's definitely like a university. These guys like, wow. We all are students of one another, because sometimes it takes like, they don't understand what I'm saying. They think I'm saying something in the song. So we have to explain to one another, and I'm like, okay, sing. So I'm like, okay, so what's the theme about? So I, in my head, I could kind of find out, so I could be on the same theme.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Okay, so
they sing that language because I don't speak the language, and I sing, but a lot of the song is about love,
which actually makes it easier to understand.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I get
one family, many children. Who came up with the name?
Well, a lot of times, I don't think it's a who.
Give me the short answer.
I think it's a lot of time I come off my head when, before I start a song, I get a shout, like I would do in Jamaica,
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps it might have been me, that comes out with that. Because most of the time, one family, many children. I think that's me, but I don't claim things like that, because what I do is from the stories that I heard, but it just come out in my words.
Okay, you saying that you're not saying that you was the originator, but in fact you was exposed to it, and so that's why it came through to share.
It probably came out like that, me, but I don't want to claim it. Oh, he invented something, or
right.
He wrote. I say one family, because when I sing, I say one family, many children all around the world.
Okay.
So I think that some phrase like that I usually come up with.
Okay.
But I don't exactly recall.
Well, I think it's beautiful, though.
Yeah, one family, many children all around the world.
All right, so that's Funka Daisy. Mm-hmm. All right, but you also have been a long time dancer. Where did that dancing spirit come from? Was you a baby? Was you a little guy? Was it when you hit your teens? When did you begin to start dancing, Valroy?
Well, I always liked to dance, but the stigma of dance never
for boys,
really
for guys.
So that kind of dance.
Okay.
But I, dance, like you get up there and you do your own style, like in Jamaica for the transition of music era. Like here
mm-hmm.
we have music era, this in the 50s and the 60s, and you go through these different. So dance, in the formal sense of going and take a dance class, being a dance room and have this bar and all this stuff. But I always liked to dance, and so the arts I like, and so I actually started like so-called taking dance classes like 80s or something like that.
So you was an adult or a young adult?
I was like maybe like 20.
Yeah, you was a young adult.
Yeah.
And
formally, but I was like athletic type of person, so
okay,
an athletic type of person with two left foot.
Wow.
But I could still move.
I love it. Yeah. Athletic with two left feet.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I could dance, but when you're learning coordination, like when I come to America, the young man he taught me basketball. I learned it and made the basketball team before he did. The one that taught me.
Right.
And so in Jamaica, being from a British colony, we played cricket. I had to transfer and play baseball. When I first came, I hold a bat like a cricket bat, but I hit a home run.
Okay.
So, the dancing, I started taking some classes while I was in Great Lakes.
How long was you with? How long have you been with West Indian Folk Dance Company?
Like when I was in Great Lakes, when I was younger, I went to finish high school on the East Coast. Not much of a military person, but it was. I know I didn't want to stand on the corner, and I always wanted to branch out. So, I like, oh gosh, what should I do? I only know how to sign my name really, but I didn't want to work in a factory. I know that.
Okay.
But there was opportunities to work in factory,
Absolutely,
and perhaps stand on the corner, with a brown paper bag too. But that's not me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh gosh. So I tried to get into the Air Force or something like that. But I know I didn't want to go into the Army or the Marine. I didn't see myself as an Army or Marine. So I tried the Air Force, that didn't work. So I tried the Navy. I'll go in there. I didn't really want to, but it's better than
stand on the corner.
Right. And I went in there, stayed a while and found out how smart I was. Actually, I'm smart. But I didn't, the background, the book background, because our parents had taught us different principles. They know how to do things, from home, and we have good manners. That's what got me true to, so I joined the.
Well, we know that part of even with our faith, any faith that you follow, will teach you discipline, which is aligned with good manners. And I've been a long time teacher. Most of the kids who do well, they don't do well because they necessarily have super high IQs, but rather because they're disciplined enough to receive. So they can quiet their insides down. They can be quiet and listen. They will adhere to practice. And so we see great growth with kids like that because they come from disciplined backgrounds, as opposed to some children who are highly intelligent but are behavior disordered. They argue, they rip, they run, they don't listen. And so it's very, very hard to transfer knowledge, wisdom that way. So that's beautiful that you recognize that in yourself.
Well, anyway, the devastating thing that I saw, even when I come in now, I even recognize it even more. When we came, I didn't have the book knowledge, and they placed my sister and myself in this class, and the children were like...
Little kids?
No, children our age group, I was like 11 going on 12, and they put us in this class. Those children was misbehaving, and we know we didn't belong there. But they put us in a class. They seem like they don't expect you to be somebody. And we know we didn't belong there, although I didn't have the book knowledge. And I wasn't a very good reader, but my cousin told me, if you want to improve your reading, just read, man. He's like,
was he right?
Of course. Every time at night before I go home, I can't fall asleep without a book in my hand.
That's beautiful.
But anyway, the dancing stuff, I like to dance once I start. This West Indian folk dance group, they had migrated to America in 1978. And I met them in 1979 after, 80. Mm-hmm. 1980, when I was in Great Lakes. I came up to Chicago. Well, the leader, Mr. Alfred Baker, came down to there, and they was having some kind of festival, and he saw me. And him with the eye for an artist, saw me. So he said, And so I was yearning to find out about myself even more, all the time to gather around the people that I, could be able to express myself. And he come up to Chicago where they was rehearsing. So one Saturday I came up after, because before that I used to take karate.
Okay.
And I was very consistent. And I worked every day, and I came to yellow belt, and I'm like work out for like 3-4 hours. But then when I came to Mr. Baker that Saturday morning, and he said, okay, do this for me. He said, do first, second, third, fourth, and some stuff they call time do. And then he bend your knees and straighten your knee, all those 5 positions. And then when I went back to the base, I'm like, I didn't do nothing. My leg was so sore. And I'm like, wow. But, I still was skeptical, though.
Mm-hmm. It does. Dance does sneak up on you.
I did go to California, and then I started, studying, like, different African dances from Ghana, mostly West African dance, from Senegal, Gambia, and the Mali Empire. And so I went to the West Coast and was stationed there, and took dance. You see, find out there's some dance. I take dance with some, and then you find out that, oh, this dancer from Chicago know that one. And so I started learning. I wasn't that good because it takes a long time to really get the technique
down.
And,
yes,
to
be skilled.
When people from that culture see you, they say, it's hard for them to distinguish your style because maybe you perhaps dance it better than they do.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a while. Mr. Baker's technique on modern folk is very, very hard and challenging because your body has to be conditioned in such a way for that style. It puts speed, strength, and projection. So it takes a long time to develop that technique to be able to do the technicalities that he wants. Mm-hmm. So it took me a while, but he pushed me out there on the stage, and I gained my confidence after a couple of years. The other dancer had left, and then I was the only one left, so I was left in that position. I had, became, very much stronger, and people, I could have left and, go on to other groups, but I stuck around until they got some. Okay,
so it sounds like you have it in your character to be loyal and committed.
Yeah, that's what happened to me because some of the other groups, even I went to New York, I was able, because of the style that he taught, I could adapt to different jazz,
Because it sounds like he taught you how to dance.
Right, he gives you the basic mechanics.
First.
So you can go anywhere and adapt to whatever style.
Okay.
So they were, oh man, you should come with us. And, even here, oh, you should come with us. But I'm saying, okay, he invests all this energy.
Time, yeah.
Ethically.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, you spend all, and then all of a sudden, I can do it now. Bam, go off to somebody who had invested in me. So I could have went with other people. So I said, no, I don't want to do that. That was my personal choice.
Oh, okay. Any regrets?
Not really. If somebody invests in you, it's like pay rent. A lot of times you invest in your children and they get big position, but they don't come forward and return to the community and give what the parents. Sometimes the parents don't get nothing out of it, and some of the children be ungrateful to their parents because they come and they say bad things about their parents. Not all of them. Some of them.
You're saying that's a possibility. You'll never know.
They go and maybe work for big corporation. They don't come back to the community of which they sprang.
So you think that you should give it back?
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, give something back.
Yeah, just some of them, not all of them, but
it's a fair enough.
Yeah, it should be done always.
Okay, so we know that you're a musician and singer, and I'll call you a light songwriter. We know that you are a dancer, naturally athletic, but also driven to dance. And one of the things that you shared with me is that you also are a masseuse, that you are a licensed practicing massage therapist, and that, in fact, you expressed that you consider it healing hands, that you work really more for healing purposes than anything. What distinguishes you from just me getting a Groupon and getting me a massage, a good massage? Why use the words healing hands? What's healing about that experience?
Well, it's just the individual character, like he feels, he likes what he does, and he feel like, it's not in my words, it's sometimes what the people say, but some deep down inside tell you, your hands can do it. Okay. So it goes back when I'm saying I'm not the person who drinks a lot, so when I was in my younger days, some of the younger people in the group, in the service, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
They would go out and drink, but I'm not much of a drinker, so I look in the magazine, that looks interesting. That's why I learned. I went and paid some money and take the massage class. Okay,
so let me get this straight. You end up becoming a massage therapist just really as a drop back as a result of not really being a party person?
Well, no, I am a party person, but I'm not like the drink, go out and get like drunk where you lose control of yourself. My interest wasn't more like,
Relaxation,
health,
finery. Okay.
Yeah, like that type, finding something, something new to do other than going to a bar.
Oh, I love
with
it.
friends and stuff like that. So I look, oh man, I'd be interested. I go take the class. I'm not used to this.
How long have you been a licensed massage therapist?
Probably about 10 years now.
10 years.
Longer.
And what is the biggest joy you get from it? Like, when clients call you back, or when did you know you were on the right track? Because, you can get any of these certificates and know, and then find out like, it was a waste of my time. When did you know this was a part of you?
No, it was always a part of me. It was always there, just that because I was drawn to it from, there's something inside of you is still inside of you evolving to reach a higher ground.
Okay.
Because from that time, maybe, you might buy books knowing that you're not going to read or even comprehend it now. But on the journey, you get a moment, you read it, you talk to people, you meet more. So I took the class, I get the certified. And so at that time, when I first came to Chicago, massage therapy hasn't reached the level as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just could have clients and you do massage. So I was doing it, but I never really continued like that, although I do it to friends. But years later, oh gosh, I have this skill and I remember everything to do, Long stroke, compressing in the short stroke, twisty, stretching, and roll the nerves. That's what I learned. And so I'm like, okay. And so some friends were studying to get their state board.
Okay.
Right, so they asked me to study with them, and then they went to school, and when I'm studying with them, they found, man, you're real good. And I know more than they do, it seems, to them, because I had confidence.
Okay.
They had confidence too, but they had just graduated from school.
So there's a little bit of the intimidation of just being new.
Yeah, but I wasn't intimidated on me. But even though I lost my continuity for not really practicing all the time, I just do with friends.
Well, it sounds like it comes back though, because you said you kind of got active again, and it was right there.
And so they were taking their license, so I'm studying. I could take the license and pass the test, but when the test almost comes to pass, they said, "Oh, you can grandfather without taking the test." I'm like, okay. I do that. I don't have to because I already know the thing.
Okay, so they actually have a grandfather kind of
at that time.
Oh, now they don't anymore.
If you was doing it for a long time.
Okay.
And I'm like,
there's no like.
That was before rules.
But I'm saying, did you have to do something? Did you at least have to show them? Did you have to demonstrate? Did you have to write anything?
They have different forms that you fill out.
Okay.
And documentation what you've been doing.
Okay.
And they say, they give it to you. But I already knew these things because we had formed a study group, and I was helping them study for their state board. The state board.
Okay.
And so I was ready to take the test, pay my money. I was like, pocket that money.
Okay, so musician, dancer, you in the helping fields. I consider licensed practicing therapist. All of it's part of the helping fields. So it seems like the human experience in general is, and really kind of getting close to it. Like there's a naturalness in you to want to be close to the human experience.
I think it's a part of the whole thing, nursing. You study nursing and do that kind of stuff. To work with the different age groups,
So now I'm gonna ask you the big question. With all of that said,
oh gosh,
who is Valroy Dawkins? Like when it all comes together, because what you've shared is a really, really huge umbrella that doesn't box you in. Like you're very out of the box as controlled as you are. Like because from talking to you, none of this was accidental. It was all pre-thought, naturally in you, sort of watered, and it grew, and it seems to come to life just at the right time. And so these are all parts of who you are. When you think of yourself, how do you define yourself? Who is Valroy?
Wow.
I told you it was a big question.
Well, I'm not really like a media, I don't want to be flashed on the media. Like, I want to, it's like, everybody have a purpose.
Okay.
You know, so I know I have some unique purpose that I do. I'm affected by the children, you know, and knowing that the children are the future. I'm affected by that. And the elders. Yeah, I work with the elders too. Yeah, I'm affected by the children. You know, and knowing that I'm one of that child. I know that used to be, and you know, we need a lot of help. You know, in those areas. So
You're still not telling me who you are. Like, I know for sure that I'm a seed planter. I know that. Like, there's not an accident that I'm a professor, a bit of a life coach, that I consult, that I'm a consultant, that I'm an information junkie, but I'm a junkie that shares. Like, so if where some people get very stingy with their intellectual property, I am very free-spirited with it. If I can give you a good tip or word of wisdom or direction or instructions that'll help you, you're welcome to have it freely. So I know those things, so yes, I'm a teacher, but that's not completely who I am. I'm probably, if I had to define myself, I'm probably more of a seed planter, a cultivator than anything in spirit, which is why, he uses me in different things. Who is Valroy? Because he's plopped you in these different things as something. Who are you, sir?
Well, anyway, funny that you say that. These are the terms that I use when I express myself.
Okay.
So in the teachings that I have and this feeling that I have in myself, I'm actually a motivator, cultivator.
There we go.
So these are the things I actually do. I motivate, I cultivate, I'm a farmer, in sort of sense of even, that's how I was brought up, maybe like in a farm area where you actually have knowledge of that, but, I lost my touch, in that way, so it's transferred in the cultivation of people, like I say, I like to work with children, so I'm like a person with a kind word or motivational word to encourage. I'm like to encourage people, to, I'm not laughing at no one, but encourage them. Sometimes you look on the bright side, it must be something good to be said about that person.
So you are a natural optimist as well?
Yeah, on that side mostly, yes. So you could hear that in the songs that I sing. Most times when I'm singing, I sing about solution, inspiration, inspiration, and motivation. That's the type of lyrics that I love to sing.
Okay.
Because there's so many discouraging things
happening
to hold us down and stumbling block in our way. And even myself have those same thing too. So. And then the type of work that I do is, and I use different phrases like it's too expensive for me to be mad or sad
right.
for the feelings in my hand. Because if I'm working on somebody and I'm mad, I can't afford to be mad, it's too expensive.
Yeah,
I won't be able to work.
Right.
Because all that grief and anger and fear and stuff, it be transferred to the individual. So that's why I say...
Oh, you're saying it will literally transfer into how you massage.
Yeah, so a lot of times say, what are you happy about? But see, that's the feeling I have to cultivate most of the time. Even if seem like I'm sad, I might even be sad. It seems that way, but I'm not really sad. But I try to cultivate joy within myself, and just try to build that thing because it takes time. And like you say, you have to plant that seed. And you have to take it a step at a time.
Right.
And sometimes, you feel that, but like, wow. Sometimes you have to run away from that thing that we want to prevent you from doing what you come to do. And everybody, they have a purpose, but we, like you said, we have to find and sometimes it takes us longer,
Yeah, and I mean, I'm always saddest when I meet people. I told you I've been a long time teacher, that I've met people who actually left this earth who never discovered their purpose. Mm-hmm. And I just think that's so sad that you never figured out why you were here. what was your job? What was you on this journey for? And on the same token, I'm always fascinated by people who absolutely are confident that they have a purpose and are at least in tune enough with the universe or a higher power to know what that purpose is. And it might just simply be to spread love. Or, they know what, like, when their job is done, like they've done a good job and they can accept whatever's coming their way because they know, okay, well, this was my purpose.
A lot of times, too, people doubt themselves. They know that's what they like, but see, and sometimes when the people pray and say, I'm looking for the answer, but what we need to know is know that it's already answered, and you might be looking for the answer way out, or maybe on TV or in some glamour.
You say they know. I find people want other people to confirm it.
Right, confirmation.
Right, but they know you knew you wanted to dance. No matter what anybody thought, you knew that you wanted to dance.
That's where the encouragement part come in. Well,
so what happens when people know and other people...
But you have to get the skill, too. You know you might dance and you can dance, but the skill to be able to express that part of yourself that perhaps couldn't be expressed because maybe the physical development in yourself is not that strong, so
yeah. I mean, there's something to being a trained anything.
Yeah,
so I always kind of separate the two: the trained professional musician, dancer, singer, business person from the lay. This is just the guy that wakes up, the woman that wakes up and says,
natural.
Yeah, they're natural. Like you put a song on, I move to it, and I'm not trying to do anything special. I'm not going to do a dance troupe. I don't want accolades. But this is it's still in me. So I always try to separate them because sometimes people want to give you their stamp of approval. If you don't have this or this or this behind your name,
you need a credential.
Yeah, then you're not official. When in fact, no, I'm official. I just dance to a different beat. I walk to a different beat. And I always want to leave that space because if you don't,
you're finding your own self.
Yeah, you're finding your own self, but you're also creating other selves. Like, what if everybody did it the same? Yes, you're adding on to it.
It's like a lot of, we need to know that we are a part. And just like our ancestors, they like come up, they have new words, things don't always be great. Or perhaps you read some of the great books, and they were people, they say they were people like us, and then we were people of them, then what happened to the things that of us this time? So we have to add those things, which...
It's just more than one way to see the world, and it's more than one way to skin a cat. The other day, my daughter, and I'm sharing this as we wrap up, she had pink eye. And normally, folks go take you to the doctor and get antibiotics, or it's been a standard custom to use breast milk. Breast milk is known to also clear up pink eye. Well, I'm not lactating, so, obviously she's not going to get any breast milk. And so I said, let me see some other home remedies, because we got this big old world. Pink eye is not new. That's not a new kind of, disease, like basically virus or bacterial virus. So one thing said to take pure yogurt and just kind of rub it in the eye. That the probiotics, the healthy, bacteria in it will kill off the bacteria that's growing in the eye. So she's a resistor. I just kind of put some on her lash and she blinked it in. And Valroy, her pink eye's gone. And so here was a remedy I never heard of in my life, because I'm on one part of the world, talking to one set of people who are using one way to deal with. And their ways work, except that I couldn't utilize them. And here I find out something that somebody else on the other side is using. So that's the thing about, allowing space for discovery, for change, for seeing it different. Well, we're winding up. You've been sitting with Valroy Dawkins, and you're listening to Beyond the Surface Radio with your host, Dr. Wanda J. Evans-Brewer. And before we leave out, Valroy, what is one thing you just want the listeners to know? What is something you want them to take with them?
Well, think of it as a great university.
Okay. The world?
Anywhere we are, and everyone is our instructors and professors.
Okay.
So each one we meet, is like, it's brand new. And think of it as each breath. Because I'm like, God,
right.
But that breath and that moment of that one breath is so like cool,
It is.
I don't know, I see it now, it's like, I was just talking to him yesterday.
Yeah.
But anyway, just do the appreciation and gratitude.
Mm-hmm. You want them to have gratitude.
Gratitude is really
necessary on this journey.
Thing,
yes.
Because, I think that's a good thing.
Okay.
To be grateful.
I think it's a good thing to be grateful too.
Grateful and, just know that you can, and everybody needs encouragement. And to the children who think their mothers and parents are iron people, they are people too. And their children too, but different aspects of they're just bigger than you, so we should know that, and, especially talking to you children.
Okay. Well, until we, thank you, Valroy, and until we chat again, I want you to be safe in God's grace.
Charlie.